Wheel of Death, and now we are live. We're going to play the coolest intro on all of YouTube.
I agree with you.
All right, welcome to the Cross and the Crescent discussion group. Kufar, Akbar, everybody, hello. We are here on the Cross and the Crescent discussion group every Tuesday evening at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're here also on Sundays at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. You know, I'm actually considering moving that Sunday show to 3 p.m.
Okay.
That would work.
Okay.
Well, I was at 3 p.m. I'm a little confused, isn't it? Already at 3 p.m.?
Well, 3 p.m.
Well, his time.
Right. I'm thinking 3 p.m. Sorry.
It's been 3 p.m. my time.
Well, so I'm thinking 3 p.m. my time. That would be 4 p.m. your time.
Okay.
The reason why I put it at 2 p.m. initially is because we were getting a lot of people initially when we started doing this on Sunday afternoons from the UK calling in. And we're getting the occasional yeah. I don't know where a boss is. Do you guess where a boss is? Is a boss from the UK also? And the reason why I did that is because I didn't want the excuse to say, well, it's 10 o'clock here in the UK. We can't stay up that late. And I get it, it's a work night. Got to go to work on Monday morning. No one wants to go to work on Monday morning. And so I thought, well, let's just do it at 2 o'clock, which would put it at 8 o'clock their time. And that would be really convenient. Well, we're not getting as many people participating from the UK anymore. So, but Dominic Shields comes, and I don't want to. I guess maybe I should ask him Sunday. Let's use Dominic as the guinea pig. You guys want to do that? We'll make him the.
Find out what he thinks. Yeah.
Yeah. See what he seems to think. Last night, I was in. Okay, Dr. J. Smith and Dr. Dan Janasic are teaching classes for Veritas University out in California. And this university, they have a course of study. They're teaching it at the master's and the doctorate level on Islam, Islamic apologetics. And last night's course, I had there's a guy there. His goes by the name of the Seasoned Apologist. So I'm going to plug his show. I told him I would plug his channel here. He's got over 9,000 subscribers. And I'm looking, I'm trying to, let me just pull this up and see how many views he has on this particular. That's not, okay. You think I would have been prepared for this, doggone you. Let me see. Where are his videos? Here's a video of his. 100 views. Well, I guess he gets about the same number of views. Well, he gets 600, but he gets about 100, 150 views. You get the same number of views as that. that we get here. But if you can ever get over to the Seasoned Apologist, take a look at some of his work. The guy is just he was just the nicest guy in the world. And we're during the class, the Dr. Janisic and Dr. Smith are sitting there, presenting, lecturing, da 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 da, and the students were sitting in the background private chatting with with each other back and forth, and they can't see it, so it reminds me of my days. Okay, so today we're going to talk about Christian persecution. A very broad topic, but it continues every single day in the world. Christian persecution, according to, and matter of fact, I'll just bring that up when I get to that newspaper article. First thing I want to do is I want to, you always want to provide a definition. Paul and I were having a great conversation at the beginning of the show about M238. What was that?
M103.
Okay,
M103.
Tell everybody what that is.
In Canada, that is the attempt to legalize, or it's not exactly the right terminology. It is the attempt to make Islamophobia against the law, and they are not defining what that means. There are several different definitions. M103 actually has no standard definition. There was a long discussion while they were working on M103, but there is no true definition of the term.
Okay, so if you're going to accuse somebody of Islamophobia, or you're going to be accused of Islamophobia, and there is a punishment that is involved, don't you think that you would want to know what the term meant? This is akin to apostasy. When we start saying, well, criticizing Muhammad is considered apostasy. Well, how is that apostasy? Well, they lead you right through it in the Reliance of the Traveler. I'm not going to pull it out and bore you guys to death with it. But if you look at the Sharia, to criticize Allah and Muhammad is considered apostasy, a form of apostasy. So if you're going, and if the apostasy is punishable, especially if it's punishable by death, you're going to want to know what that definition of that term is. And so this is when we were discussing at the beginning of the show. If you're going to be accused of Islamophobia, you'd want to know what the definition of Islamophobia is. But today we're going to be talking about persecution. So what I want to start off with is what is persecution and why we have Christian persecution today. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. And don't forget to tell me to click that box in the corner when I do that.
Click that box in the corner.
In the corner. There we go. Been there, done that, got that. Here we go. Okay, so this is, and I think I've done this before on this show, where I've discussed Christian persecution and used this slideshow before, because I did this when I taught a series at the church, at my church that I go to. I was given the message on Sunday evenings, I guess in sermon, I guess you could say, and we were using Voice of the Martyrs outline for this on the persecuted Christians. And when I present this at church, you're talking about a bunch of Christians who have never seen these things before. So today, let's go ahead and take a look at what apostasy is. The official term of it is the hostility and ill treatment of people based on race or political or religious beliefs. So it's just the ill treatment of people is what you could consider persecution is, but it has to be directed at people based on race, political, or religious beliefs. But what's amazing about all this, Christians don't realize this, is that we were told by Christ, you'll be hated for my name's sakes, but he who endures to the end will be saved. When they persecute you in this city, flee to another. In John, we find it, if the world hates you, know that it hated me before it hated you. In Matthew, it says, blessed are you who are persecuted for righteousness' sakes. But there's the kingdom, that's a Sermon on the Mount stuff right there. In John, again, they will push you out of the synagogues. The time is coming that whoever kills you will think that they offer God a service. Does that sound familiar? Well, hold on. Let me go back to it just to show you. Hold on. Let's go back to it. Hold on. Wait a minute. Whoever kills you will think that he offers God a service. Does that sound familiar? That
I
definitely
thought that was
sounds.
part of Sharia. That they think it's okay. They say they're serving God by killing us Christians.
Yeah, this when you kill an apostate, or if you kill. We were all over this on Kufar Phobia's channel last night, talking about weird hadith, but there are all kinds of hadith out there that call for violence against non-believers, and it's also in the Quran. Of course, 929, 9:5. There's 1:9, 1:11, I think, or something like that. It's just all over the place as far as persecuting or attacking or committing violence against people who don't believe. And we're gonna. I think I have those in here, as a matter of fact. So let me get
in my last book. I put in an Appendix A, which is where is hatred and violence in the Quran, and that's actually an excerpt I actually owe to Eric Rizzo, sharing that. I was just kind of mind blown when there is just so much hatred and violence.
Which book would that be by?
That's the last one, The Cancer of Civilization.
Okay. I'm wanting you to plug your book. Let's just. Yes, The Cancer Civilization Jihad. What the heck is going on here? All right, let's jump back over here. Okay, so we all know that persecution has always been with us, Christians. As of today, I just cut and pasted this Hamajama 15 minutes ago. There have been 40,834 attacks, Islamic attacks against non-believers or people that they don't believe the right way since September 11th, 2001. So in the last 20 or so years, 20 years, there's been over 40,000 attacks. It's incredible. But when we look at
actually 21 years now, wow, well, almost 21, yeah,
20 and a half. Let's just split it in half.
Yeah.
Okay, here you have persecution. I mean, almost immediately after people started believing that Jesus Christ was indeed the Messiah, the Son of God, died for our sins on a cross, rose again on the third day, they started being persecuted for it, and it began with, of course, the death penalty was given to Stephen here in this picture, what we find here, but it was the Christians were put out of the synagogue initially for preaching a doctrine that wasn't consistent with what the Sadducees and the Pharisees said. Then Rome got into it. If you remember Rome and Nero, this is about 30 years after the fact. He's burning Christians, at the stake in his gardens, and using them as candles, for crying out loud. And he wanted to have something. And the whole conspiracy goes is that he wanted to have a certain part of the city in order to build these lavish buildings for himself. And so he has it burned down, and he blames the Christians. How convenient. But Christians were persecuted not only under Nero, but it was pretty much throughout the entire Roman Empire that they were persecuted. If you look at 1 Corinthians and the statement of faith that is located there in chapter 15, verses 3 through 8. And I'm going to say this again. When you read 1 Corinthians, as a matter of fact, I'm going to read it for you because I want to make sure everybody understands what this says. Because it is thought by most scholarship today, number one, there's no serious scholar out there that will say that Paul didn't write this. Now, remember, Paul is an eyewitness to these events. Paul could have very well been an eyewitness to the crucifixion. Everybody wants to separate Paul from the initial Christians, which isn't true, because Paul was living contemporaneous with them, where in Jerusalem. So he would have been an eyewitness to a lot of these events. But when we look at chapter 15, verses 3 through 8, we got to remember that scholars are now placing this creed. This is a creed. It has been defined or been shown using textual criticism and analysis. When you look at it in the Greek, it sounds just like a creed would sound, something that is short, to the point, but and so people could memorize, because the majority of people at the time were illiterate. They couldn't read. So if you had short statements that people could read or people could, recite and recite what they believe and what the Christian faith is about, this was it. It's very similar to the Apostles' Creed. The Apostles' Creed is taught in in many Christian denominations. I know Lutherans do it. I know they recite it in Catholic.
A lot of Methodist churches do.
Right. Yeah, they do it in the Methodist Church.
Yeah.
Presbyterian churches. It doesn't matter. I believe in God the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, and Jesus Christ, His only Son, our Lord. It's really not that long. Get a little Lutheran
About
boy
4 or 5
think,
sentences at the most.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, His only Son, our Lord, was conceived by the power of the Holy Spirit, born of the Virgin Mary, suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, died, and was buried, rose again on the third day, according to the Scriptures, and ascended to heaven. He's seated at the right hand of God the Father Almighty. From then He shall come to judge the living and the dead. I believe in the Holy Catholic Church, the Holy Catholic Church, the community of saints, the forgiveness of sins, the resurrection of the body, the life everlasting. Amen. Man, I get a gold star for that one.
I haven't repeated that, and I don't know how long.
I know, isn't that weird? Because we don't, and I'm a Baptist now, and we don't. The Holy Catholic Church. Are you kidding me? We don't. They'd freak out if they had to say something like that. Not knowing that it's the universal Christian church. No.
That's all it meant at the time. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's get back to what this creed says. Now, this creed is dated back. Most scholars, even Bart Ehrman, may Allah be pleased with him. Even Bart Ehrman admits one thing. Number one, that this for sure, there's no doubt that Paul wrote 1 Corinthians. There's no doubt. There's like 7 of the 13 epistles. There's unanimous agreement among scholarship that Paul did write them. Some of the other ones are like, 2 Timothy, we don't know. But this one, they know for sure. And here's what it says. For what I received, this is Paul speaking, what he received from who? From the apostles. I passed on to you as of first importance, that Christ died for our sins according to the Scriptures, that he was buried, that he was raised on the third day according to the Scriptures, and that he appeared to Cephas and then to the 12. After that, he appeared to more than 500 of the brothers and sisters at the same time. Most of them are still living, though some have fallen asleep. Then he appeared to James, and then to all the apostles, and then lastly appeared to me. Now, this was written within a year and a half of, some have actually dated it clear up to 6 months within the death of Christ. I don't know how they do that, but this is what scholarship is saying. So if you have something that close to that date, to that event being recited within the church, don't you think something like that might have happened? I don't know. But this is what the Christians, the early Christians, were persecuted for in their faith. They were persecuted for reciting this creed here, believing this creed, believing that Jesus Christ was the Son of God. Today, Christians are still persecuted across the globe for declaring that same faith in Jesus Christ. And it's done, they're killed at a rate of about 12 a day. Oh, I could have just read it right here. I guess I should have read my slideshow a little bit faster. Okay, so what drives someone to face this? Well, when we look at the persecution that went on in Rome, I mean, you had people being burned at the stake, being thrown to the lions, being whipped, flogged, sawn in half, all throughout the Roman Empire. And it didn't end, folks. This didn't end. This Christian, you got to think about this. This Christian persecution did not end until after Emperor Diocletian. Diocletian was, 303, 305, somewhere around there. Then you have Constantine. And then Constantine finally, this is so stupid. He gets sick and tired of, the Council of Nicaea, Constantine declared about, shut your piles. You don't have anything I do with you guys talking about. But they said that Constantine stopped the persecution. He didn't make Christianity the official religion of the empire. That was Emperor Theodosius, 386, somewhere around there, finally made it the official religion of the empire. But he just stopped the persecution. So for 3 centuries, Christians were persecuted for believing in Jesus Christ as the Son of God for 3 centuries. And then we get this what do you call it? This sniveling, this whining. Well, why don't we have any original, any of the original scriptures? Why don't we have any of the original manuscripts? We don't have hardly any manuscripts from, that's right. They would confiscate them and burn them. If you got caught with them, they'd
the other thing is
you
the
and burn
material
you.
they were made on. That's when something was read continually and over again, and that kind of material, it just didn't last. It's just like you pick up a Bible, you read it every day, it falls apart. It's no different than that. I mean, these were read so much that and they were shared. That's the issue altogether. They were shared. What's left is fragments because paper just doesn't survive that long. Even the papyrus and the other things that these were made of, that's the real reason why you don't have manuscripts that old.
Yeah, it was the material that it wrote on. Like it'd be a miracle if anything survived.
Yeah,
in fact, that's the humor
of it. There are hundreds and hundreds of manuscripts that are really, really old. But again, yeah.
Rob just put in here in the chat. This is a good point. It essentially disintegrates after about 100 years. I mean, it's just incredible how fast it does disintegrate. But yet, there's people out there saying, "Oh, hey, you don't have any manuscripts from the first century. Shut up." Historical illiterate people make those arguments. But anyway, all right.
Thank you.
I wanted to also hold on. I had that imam out of Houston come on the show, and he was talking about, I can prove to you that the early followers of Jesus didn't believe that he died on the cross. And he goes, you never guess where he goes to. 1 Corinthians chapter 15. He goes to the same chapter. You have this creed of the early Christian church, and here's what he cited. Okay, let's see here. For at least these apostles, by the grace of God, they'll work harder than all, but whether that it is with them or whatever you preach, this is what you believed. But if it is preached that Christ has been raised from the dead, how can some of you say there is no resurrection of the dead? If there's no resurrection of the dead, then how can even Christ been raised? And if Christ has not been raised, our preaching is useless, and so is our faith. More than that, we are found to be false witnesses about God, for we have testified about God that he raised Christ from the dead, but he did not raise him. In fact, the dead are not raised. If the dead are not raised, then Christ has not been raised either. And if Christ has not been raised, your faith is. So this is what he's reading to say that, look, the early church did not believe that he was crucified.
That's not what that's saying. Cuts and pastes. He doesn't. Yeah, and that they read verses in isolation that someone cut and paste for them.
Yeah, and that would make him a repeater, not a reader. Would that be about right? I think that would be about
third grade. Right. We're back to third grade again.
Yeah.
Yes.
There we go, right
our
Connie.
Own baptism. Yeah, hi. I'm at the store, but our own baptism proves Christ's death, burial, resurrection.
Thank you. So
that shuts their pie hole real quick.
I agree. Yeah, just the process of baptism. If you think about, well, anyway, okay. I just wanted to point out that we do have an early creed, and this is what gave these Christians courage under the intense and immense persecution that they faced. And when we start talking about early, we're talking about within a year of the cross. And even today, the persecution continues. And it is brutal today. And it happens all over the globe. When we look at what happened with ISIS and the amount of killing, I mean, just the slaughtering that went on under ISIS. If you look at the churches that were burned, you had Christians killed. They were banning the practices of, something as simple as communion. They wouldn't let you serve wine, for example. You had people that were displaced, people that had to flee their home. Connie was sharing with us in the chat on our link in instant messenger some excerpts from a book that she's reading from a lady that was a Yazidi that was persecuted by ISIS. Okay. So when we look at the ultimate example of religious persecution in our lifetime, well, not our lifetime, I guess this is before our lifetime, and we would look at, of course, the Holocaust. And when we look at the Holocaust and teaching our kids the Holocaust in our schools and making sure that it's taught and it's taught properly. Oh, by the way, didn't we have like a Holocaust Remembrance Day the other day? Did you guys hear anything about this? Anybody? Because there was a special that was on the TV that kind of caught my ear, and they had a Holocaust survivor go in and talk to a bunch of high schoolers. This lady, and when you start listening to some of these Holocaust survivors, I know she was like 3 or 4 years old. I mean, she was really young during the Holocaust. You think, well, how can you remember any of this? But this lady, I guess, was older than that. She probably would have been 10, 15 years old. But she's talking to these kids, and one of the kids had the unmitigated gall to equate the Jewish Holocaust to the how do I word this, with what Black Lives Matter is trying to do today. He goes, I see it as similar as Black Lives Matter. I'm thinking, are you kidding me? Well, I mean, can't you guys just for once have some type of respect for something that you could genuinely classify as ethnic cleansing, as you could quantify what it was, a genocide. I mean, you look back, if you go back to the 90s, what was that? The Tutsis and the Hutus in what country was that? Uganda. Was it Uganda? It was one of the countries over there.
Rwanda.
Rwanda. There we go. Rwanda. That's a genocide. I mean, that is a genuine, quantifiable genocide. And to say that, it really angered me to hear some kid try to do this with what happened. But when we look at persecution in the past, this is the gold standard here of what religious persecution looks like. And this was, of course, the Jewish Holocaust, where the Jews initially are lined up in these pits and these groups here. These people were called Eisengruppen, these firing squads, and they would just shoot them into these pits, kill them, and then they would just fill it in, and they'd have a bunch of Jews come out and dig more pits.
And for those of you who don't know, we would, in social studies in high school level, we teach these terms. Genocide, we teach Holocaust, and I never say that term correctly. We teach that particular group to the kids so they can write it in their essays. And
if
they never really grasp it.
If you want to read a really good book on the Holocaust, it's by a guy by the name of Martin Gilbert, I think his name was. I'm going to pull it up right now. This book is right. It's like right spot on. I mean, he takes you through the origins of it, and Martin. I feel like his name is Martin Gilbert. I don't know why that name sticks.
I would take my kids through the Nuremberg laws, and we would do that long before we got there. But we started with Hitler's belief in the Übermensch. And when I started doing that, I never had another child ask me why Hitler did this.
What, by going to the Nuremberg laws?
No, but starting with the Übermensch, Nietzsche's Übermensch.
Okay. This book right here. This is if you want a book that's kind of the gold standard for describing what the Holocaust. It's a heavy lift. I mean, it's a long book. I admit that it's 500-600 pages, but it just this is one of the first that I read on the Holocaust, and it was, and but what we learned from this is what we should learn from this, that we should never in any way, shape, or form ever tolerate religious persecution again. And that's the point that I'm trying to make here tonight. We should never allow it. We should, under any circumstances, whether it would be, even if you can try to sometime associate the Palestinian struggle as a religious issue, even if it truly was a religious issue, which it's not, but if it was a religious issue, then we should absolutely condemn it. Any type of religious persecution we should condemn.
Okay, can I say something very quickly here, gentlemen? I agree with Eric.
Hey, George, oh, by the way, I sent you that email address.
Yes, I saw that. Thank you so much.
Okay, all right, good.
And I will be speaking with him. So I agree with Eric that we should not tolerate religious persecution. Now, we need to make a distinction between religious persecution and criticism of religion. Right? Why am I saying that? Because here in the West, very often I hear people say, oh, it's Islamophobia, when you point out in their own books that they say having sexual relations with little girls is halal. Right? When we point these things out, you hear that you're an Islamophobe. Again, I must be free to discuss ideas with you. Discussing ideas with you doesn't mean that I'm persecuting you. And we have to make that distinction, because very often the two issues are conflated by certain groups here in the West to try to silence criticism of Islam.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. You're right. Here's the problem. You can criticize Christianity all day long, and it's not going to push me to the point where I'm going to want to come and cut your head off. It's not going to push me to the point where I'm going to come over and want to smack you in the face, or commit any type of violence against you, or any type of do anything to you that would hurt you, whether it's physically, socially, economic. We want to be able to hash these things out in the arena of ideas and talk about them. But you're exactly right. That little term there, that little pejorative that's been invented, Islamophobia, is an attempt to shut down any type of honest discussion, and to hide the persecution and the violence that is inherent in the teachings of the Quran and the Hadith.
We do know where that term was created. It was created by the Muslim Brotherhood in the United States.
Elaborate on that, because I was told it was created by the Iranians, but
no, it's
I read someplace
here.
where it was anyway.
Yeah, it's here. They're the PR people, organizations.
Maybe they perfected it, or or resurrected it of all. It's a bad term, but maybe resurrected it. But I was heard as actually it was supposed to go back to the beginning of the 20th century. But my understanding it's all right.
It's a relatively recent term that was developed after people like you and me and others. I mean, I'm a late comer. Started to look at Islam and say, is there a reason to be scared, or is there a rational reason to be afraid? And then when people started asking that question, all of a sudden it was a phobia.
Yeah, and it has to be and think about it. There's no other religion in the world that has a phobia to it. I mean, do you have a Christophobia, a Hindu phobia, a Buddha phobia?
Rob, I'm sorry, Rob came up with the right statement. Rob K. It is by the IIIT. That's the one group that I work on and expose when I get time. IIIT is the group that actually paid for the local. They bought into Nazareth College locally, paid them $500,000, bought an Islamic chair, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Okay, and this, what does it stand for? It's the International
Institute of Islamic Thought.
Right. Okay. So, but when I talked about it being used recently, it was used by the Iranians to shut down criticism of what the Ayatollah was doing with we had 52 hostages for 444 days and taking our embassy and all these things. I don't think it was
used back then. Yeah, if they're using it to talk about back then, that's something different, but it wasn't used back then. It's relatively new.
It's been weaponized is what it's been.
I would say about 2010, somewhere in there. I can't remember the exact time.
Right, but I mean, it's been being used today as a weapon to deflect
Exactly.
criticism, accurate criticism, or any type of criticism of the violence that, well, number one, any criticism of the Quran, any criticism of Muhammad, any criticism of the Hadith, any criticism of Islam itself, but more succinctly, more specifically here, as far as this show is concerned, to show the violence and the persecution that comes from the Muslim world to Christians. We did a show a year ago, and like again, that same imam said that when I was citing Pew research, Pew polls that they did, surveys, when I was citing these the results of these surveys, that was Islamophobic. When you say 40% of the people in Pakistan think that non-believers still should be subject to Sharia law and have their hands cut off or do the blasphemy laws, and that's Islamophobic to say that. I mean, that's how shallow that term has become.
Yes.
So it is.
Not allowed to use statistics. Anything that can hurt Islam is scary.
Right, and the thing is I would tell everybody in this audience, anybody listening to this, don't ever be intimidated by that term. Don't ever be afraid to speak out about this, regardless of what it costs you. Don't ever be afraid of being called one of these things, because this is used by a bunch of cowards, is what it is. Connie, it sounds like you're not at the supermarket. It sounds like you're at a club.
Yeah, I am.
You're not anyway. I'm just kidding. Okay, let's jump back into the slideshow here. I'm never going to get through that. Golly, I got all kinds of things I want to do tonight. I got to get through this thing. Okay, so persecution was not supposed to reoccur after what happened in the Holocaust. The world is so enlightened today that we would never allow that to happen again, right? Wrong, because it's happening today, and it's happening recently. You go to Iraq, ISIS, of course, there's a poster child for that. And if it did happen, everybody would stand up and say, no, this should never happen again. Never, ever. Everybody in the world would universally condemn ISIS. Everybody in the world would universally condemn Boko Haram, Al-Shabaab, Hamas, Hezbollah, all of these terrorist organizations, right? No, we actually have people that support Hamas, CARE, and other organizations that push for this type of stuff. Because we know that history, of course, now it doesn't ever repeat itself, does it? No. This right here would never happen again, right? People are so moronic sometimes. Wrong, of course. It happens all the time. It happens in North Korea. It's been happening in Iraq. It happens in the streets in Afghanistan. It happens everywhere. And then it's sensationalized. I mean, that was just sick what they did to those poor guys there. This guy, he has C4 tied around his neck. This is that poor Syrian bomber that they set him on fire, doused him with petrol, and then set him on fire and filmed it. These guys, they just roasted alive. But when we look at the type of persecution that's happening today, what is the purpose of it? It's to terrify you. It's to keep you silent. It's to keep you from speaking out. I'm going to have to call them back. Sorry. It's to keep you from speaking out. And it's been effective. A lot of people cower in the corner because of this. I mean, look at our country itself. Our country itself right here. If we think, here's what I want you to do is I want you to picture, and most of us here in the show, maybe not Isa, I don't know. Isa, you might know. I don't know. But I want you to think of what was our country like prior to 9/11, as far as going to
blissfully
the
ignorant.
Maybe, but I'm just talking about security-wise. We didn't have a care in the world. We'd go to the airport. You could actually walk down the concourse to the plane's gate.
Yeah, I did that.
And you're right. And usher somebody down the plane, or be waiting there when they got off of the plane at the gate.
Yeah, we did it all the time.
Today? Yeah. Could you do that today?
You're not even allowed past point B, or Yeah,
No,
you
you're
get
not.
in.
Yeah,
You can't go to the concourse.
no, you
You can
can't.
just go to the baggage area. That's it.
Yeah. So when we think of the TSA, we got the TSA. We got to go through them today. I mean, look at these concrete barriers here. Why do we have concrete barriers there? Because people wanted to see shrubbery right here in the middle of this walkway? No, we have concrete barriers here because jihadis are renting motor vehicles and running people over, screaming Allah Akbar. This is the Eiffel Tower. It has 2-inch bulletproof glass surrounding it. Why? So some Allah Akbaring jihadi doesn't attack people waiting in line to go see the Eiffel Tower. You go to the TSA.
They've thwarted numerous plans for this too, so it's not without its merit.
Yeah, and I agree that you need additional. But the thing is that we need additional security today.
Yeah.
Why? Well, it's not because
it's not because
some
the Christians,
Buddhists. No, or it's not because
not
some
because of the
Buddhists want to
Jews,
stick
not
their-
because of the Hindus.
No, look at what you got to do. You got to take your shoes off your feet, your belt off. Now, if you take your belt take your belt off in front of somebody, it's embarrassing. It's humiliating. You got to take your belt off. You got to take your shoes off. You got to empty your pockets. I have hearing aids. I got to take my hearing aids off. I take my glasses. You got to take everything off, except your underwear, in order to go through there. And this.
No. Wait. They do check your underwear while you're going through those nice full body scanners.
Yeah, that's exactly. They look underneath all that too. It is disgusting. And then you have to have a star on your license. Look at that. This star in order to fly. Well, this is actually before. Let me see. This was before COVID. But they were saying in order to fly, you had to have this star. And in order to get that star, you had to take in your original birth certificate. You had to show them proof of your social security number, show them proof of your address. And there was one more thing that you had to. So I had to make 2 trips down there in order to get that done.
I don't know if that's the same in New York State because I've never seen that.
No, that's nationwide. That's coming nationwide. Yeah.
Okay.
This is in, what is it? Oh, it's Tennessee. Okay. In Tennessee, they I don't know, when is this dated? I don't know. When is this? When did they implement this? Issued. Okay, this is 2019. So they issued this in 2019. That was what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? 3 years ago now. So 3 years ago, they were putting these stars on their driver's
quite a
license.
while. So that would be
our nation's capital right here, for crying out loud. You can't even get within 3 blocks of our nation's capital. My wife and I first got married. We parked out in front of the nation's capital, walked up these steps, went into it, walked all throughout the whole Hamajama, taking little pictures with our Kodak Instamatic 110 camera. Nobody said anything to us. They won't let you anywhere near. That's what it is, Boyd. Boyd has it. It's called Real ID. That's right. Hold on, let me put this up here. Exactly right. But we went to the nation's capital and nobody said diddly squat to us. Now you can't get within 3 blocks. They got a big fence around it. When we look at the Christians in North Africa, in the Middle East, 20 years ago, they made up 20% of it. Today, what is it today? Today, it's less than 4%. And there are actually countries in the Middle East that Jews and Christians aren't even allowed to live in.
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I was just going to say, how many Jews are in Saudi Arabia? And there was a guy that was, I think he was the Israeli ambassador, and he was giving a speech to the UN Security Council. And they're sitting there berating Israel for, this is one of their resolutions against the Jews. Got to have a resolution against Israel and evil Jews. And he kept saying, he goes, Saudi Arabia, where are your Jews? You had X number of hundreds of thousands of them in 1948. Where are your Jews? Egypt, where are your Jews? Morocco, where are your Jews? Libya, where are your Jews? Syria, where there's no Jews in those countries. And the reason why is because they were ethnically cleansed when Israel was created. And we have these Palestinians saying, well, we want our land back. Okay, well, you're going to get all the land back for the Jews that were ethnically cleansed from the lands that they lived in. When I was in Israel, we stayed with a Jewish family there. The The parents of the people that we were staying with were from Morocco, and they were forced to leave Morocco, they lost everything to immigrate to Israel. They would not let them stay. They said, "You got your own country now, get out." And now
It's happening in France in large numbers, unfortunately.
Well, Jews are leaving?
Yeah, in France is large numbers.
I've
It's
heard
been
this.
ever since 2015. I'm saying large numbers. When I was there in 2016, the imam who was the rabbi who was over the area told us, we asked him if he felt safe, and he says, "Well, I feel safe because my family is now in Israel."
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's in France, a Western country.
Paris. That was Paris, France.
Wow, that's sick. That is sick as the day is long. Okay, let's go ahead and get back to this. But yeah, when you start talking about the Jews being ethnically cleansed from their lands, Christians have been also. So when we talk about North Africa in the Middle East, where are they? They're gone. And why did they leave? The reason why they left is because they were persecuted. You persecute people long enough, they're going to leave. And they did. Look at Bethlehem's a great example. 1948, the population in Bethlehem was 80%. Christian population was 80%. Today, it's less than 12%. That's purposeful, folks. That's crazy. Turkey, oh my gosh. Turkey, 1914, the Christian population was 20%. Then after the Armenian genocide, 2021, that population is down to 0.2%. And here's what they do. They burn your churches like they're doing in Nigeria, like they're doing in Egypt, like they've done in Iraq, like they're doing in Syria. If you're a business, the way that you earn your income, that is destroyed and your property is confiscated. This sounds like what the Nazis did to the Jews. Oh my goodness. It's the same thing. Or you can be forced to convert or die. And then you have girls being sold into slavery or forced to convert into marriages. These girls that aren't wearing veils in these countries, acid is thrown on your face. And then if you are born a Muslim, meaning that your dad is a Muslim, and you convert out from Islam, the apostasy laws apply. And we were talking about that under the Sharia with the punishment for apostasy. And we were also quoted what Yusuf al-Qaradawi, well, we're going to quote what Yusuf al-Qaradawi says about the apostasy laws. And if you don't do this under the Sharia, in some countries, you have to pay the jizya, which is that capitation tax that Jews and Christians have to pay in order to have the privilege to live amongst the Muslim majority population. And if you don't pay it, it's like the mob. They kill you. Okay, so why do they persecute Christians? Well, Christians are what they call infidels. We are infidels. We are infidels and non-Muslim. And therefore, non-Muslims are inferior. And they get their charging orders from the last chapter of the Quran, which abrogates every other verse of peace that we have in the Quran. And then also we get it from the Pact of Omar, which builds on 929, where you shall not build in your cities monasteries, churches, or repair them. Look at that. Or repair them. Look at that. You can't even repair it. John Isaac has mentioned that a couple times before on our show. And then you shall give board and lodging to all Muslims who pass through your way for 3 days. Oopsie, sorry. There we go. And then you cannot manifest your religion publicly, meaning that you cannot wear a cross. You cannot convert anybody to Christianity from Islam. And you cannot prevent your kin. If they want to convert to Islam, you can't prevent them from doing it. You have to show respect to the Muslim. Look at this. Rosa Parks. Hey, rise from your seat when they wish to sit. I wonder how well that'd go over today in the United States. And you have to, oh my gosh, let me get this off of here. I'm sorry, folks. But there we go. All right. You shall not speak as they do, shall not adopt their names. I don't want to have a name like Yabba Dabba Doo or anything like that. So that's not a biggie for me. You shall not own weapons. Look at there. Second Amendment munch. You cannot sell wine for, let's say, you want to have communion. Nope, can't have communion. You have to shave the front of your head. So some of us, you don't. That's not a problem. You're already losing your hair, but you have to do it here. You can't use there were clappers. And I wondered what that was when I was reading this, but it was a way that they would use their to sing hymns in the churches. They would use these.
Oh, that was because church bells were not allowed.
I'm talking about is when you sing songs and worship.
Yeah, these were noisemakers. They call people to the church, basically, is what my understanding was, and that was because the church bells were forbidden.
Okay. Well, it says right here, use people to call to worship. Okay. Well, I was thinking they were used to. But I'm just saying what I read was they used it as part of worship when they were singing.
Do what?
Use it as part of worship when they were singing. Kind of like if you get spoons, you ever hear somebody play the spoons. I guess that's a bad analogy, but anyway. Okay, you should not raise your voices when your dead die. Can't do that. No mourning around the Muslims, or you can't bury your dead near the Muslims. Can't have
Not
that.
yet. It's coming now. It'll be next month sometime.
And you can't.
There are actual discussions here in the United States on that already, so it's not a surprise.
On what?
Where you can't bury a Jew or a non-Muslim in a Muslim graveyard.
So we're having segregated cemeteries now.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what's his name? Umar. Okay, the Caliph Umar, the one that somebody's. What I got an echo? Okay,
are you in the bathroom or something or what?
No, I'm not taking my shahada. Anyway, I gotta fix that, but real quick, the Caliph Umar, the one that brought them their Quran, they so much that he converted to Judaism after his death because they buried him in the Muslim cemetery. Just to let you know.
Say that one more time. They did what to him after his death?
The Caliph Umar, they converted him to Judaism and they buried him in the Jewish cemetery.
Who converted him to Judaism?
The Muslims who killed him.
Red, you're echoing so much it's hard for us to understand.
Oh, I think he's at a birthday party or something, or that's what he said he was going to be tonight. He said he couldn't get out of it. I got to go, man. I'm sorry. It's all right. It's our duties that we got to fulfill sometimes.
All right,
okay.
Is this any better?
Oh, that's a lot better.
All right, cool. Yeah, I can't hear me. All right, yeah. Well, I was saying that the Prophet Umar, or not the Prophet Umar, the Caliph Umar, the one that brought them their Quran, the one that was murdered by Muslims, they hated him so much, okay, that after his death, they let him rot for 3 days because they wouldn't allow him to be buried. They finally allowed him to be buried under cover of darkness in the Jewish quarter of the cemetery, so he basically converted to Judaism. So after Muwali or whatever took Mecca, conquered Mecca, okay, or Medina, they dug up his body. No, they knocked down the wall, the dividing wall, okay, that divided the Jewish part from the Muslim part. They just knocked the wall down, so that way, they reconverted him back to Islam. No joke. Yeah.
Wow. I knew that he was murdered, but I didn't realize that they hated him to the point where they buried him in a Jewish cemetery.
That's pretty much the fate. Well, not buried in the Jewish cemetery part, but that's pretty much the fate of pretty much, I would say, 80% of all Muslim leaders. Muslims finally kill them at the end. Yeah. Hold
on. Okay, so you're saying that Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is kind of exception to the rule where.
Well, those are all Muslims who did that. Did you know that they all reverted to Islam to kill him? Yeah, I'm just saying.
Okay, so. When we look at why are Christians persecuted by Muslims, the only thing you have to do is just look at the Quran. You look at the Quran, we find in 3:151, soon we'll cast terror in the hearts of the unbelievers. I will cast terror in the hearts of those who disbelieve. What? And fight them until there's no more fitna. That is corruption. Been accused of that a time or two myself. And religion is for Allah. So when the sacraments have passed, then slay the idolaters wherever you find them.
O prophet, strive hard against the unbelievers and hypocrites and be unyielding to them. O you who believe, fight those of the unbelievers. When you meet in jihad, in Allah's cause, those who disbelieve, smite at their necks till you have killed them. Surely Allah loves those who fight in his cause. O prophet, strive against the disbelievers and the hypocrites and be stern with them. And then we go to the hadith. Allah's apostle said, I've been made victorious with terror. The messenger of Allah said, I've been commanded to fight against people till they testify that there's no God but Allah and that Jesus Christ is his or that Muhammad is his messenger. So you fight against people until they said there's no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger. If you leave out the messenger part, Muhammad being the messenger, you be dead. Killing unbelievers is a small matter for you from off the body. Even Ishaq, right here in the Sir Rasul Allah, in his biography, fight everyone in the way of Allah and kill those who disbelieve in Allah. So the question then is why don't we hear about this widespread persecution? And the reason why, counter to the Islamic narrative that it's the media that portrays Islam in a negative light, which is a lie.
It's actually not allowed to. You're not allowed to say things like Islamic terrorism. It's against the Associated Press standards. You can't use the word jihad. It's against the Associated Press standards, which sets the standards for all press in Western civilization.
And how do you know this, Paul?
Gee, I've written on it. I have as a professional writer, having worked for media, I got confronted with those standards when they were actually changed. And I said I refuse to follow them because they forced me to tell lies. And so I would continue. And that's back when I was working for Brenner Brief News when this all happened. Yeah, when that happened, I still remember the change.
Yeah. So when we talk about criticizing Islam, you can't do it. And then all we hear from, hold on, sorry, Wilbur, I got to move you. When we hear from people like this that write a book like this, where it says disproving the patriots of propaganda, his whole thesis in this book is that it's nothing but propaganda from Western media that is against Islam. It's a conspiracy, don't you see? That all of Western media is against Islam.
Well, on top of that, they make it
opposite
difficult.
is true.
Yeah, they actually the current Associated Press, Reuters, currently does everything in their power to keep Christian persecution out of the news. So I'm saying that the powers that be within the media do not allow those stories to get out. They can be local, but they're not allowed to hit the national or the world stage.
Well, when you look at what goes on, let's say with what's going on in Nigeria, and let me just replug this guy's site. There's a guy that has a YouTube channel. It's called Seasoned Apologist. Go over there and take a look at what he's from Nigeria, and he is on the front lines of that persecution from Boko Haram, there where these guys are threatened daily with violence for being believers in Christ. Okay, let's see here. I'm just writing this down. All right, let me jump back over here. So why do we hear why don't we hear of this in the media? Let's go back over here. When we look at, I think this is exactly what Paul was talking about when we talk about the colonialism and how it's the West that is evil now after the Ottoman Empire fell and we went in there. Well, the British went in there, the French went in, essentially divided the thing up. And then that Israel is forced on the Islamic world after World War II was the greatest slap in the face. Forget the fact. Now let's just let me just make this one point about Israel here. Israel was supposed to be all of what they call the Transjordan. It was supposed to be all of the country of Jordan, part of Syria, and all of what is now is. It was supposed to be that. The Muslims objected. Okay, well, let's try to reconcile this. Let's try to divide this up equitably. Oh, there's a good word, equitably. Let's do this equitably and give them back their Holy Land. After all, 2/3 of them were killed during the Holocaust. Let's just forget that little fact. But I mean, we had to find a
according to Whoopi Goldberg, the Holocaust had nothing to do with race. Just to let you know.
She's an evil mensch. I mean,
I forgot that Hitler hated black people.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, yeah, she's not too bright, but go ahead. I just thought
she's just. Here's the thing. People become famous for being able to read off of a script, and she's a great talent as far as I loved some of her movies that she made. I mean, she was great in The Color Purple. She was great in Ghost, but who I don't give a I don't give a rat's ass what her opinion is, what is politically, religiously. I don't care. And the thing is,
I've never seen it. I've never seen any of those movies, but I liked her as Ghana in Star Trek: The Next Generation. I thought that was pretty cool. She had
Okay, here you go, throwing the Star Trek crap at me again. I don't.
I have to stop and think. Wow, that's a ways back.
Yeah. Okay.
Guinan. Yep. Other than that, no.
Okay, Connie, do you remember? Okay, hold on, Connie.
Yeah.
Okay, Connie, you're a gold standard today. Okay, you're a standard bearer. Do you remember her part in Ghost?
Yes. Yeah, she was the witch. She was the sorcerer.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. Yeah, okay, she was the story. Okay. Do you remember her part in The Color Purple?
Yeah, she was a black slave.
Okay. So
well, I thought you were going to say, oh yeah, she was a witch there too, but no,
no, that's and that was anyway. Okay, let's get away from Whoopi Goldberg. How do we ever get on Whoopi Goldberg, for Pete's sake? What a waste of time. Was that your fault, Rad? Okay. All right. So when we look at Israel is, of course, if you look at Israel, I mean, the day they are founded, they are attacked by 7 Islamic nations. And these Islamic nations, as they're going into Israel, are telling the Palestinians, the supposed people of Palestine, which were never a people under the Ottoman Empire, but let's just forget that little fact, that if you guys leave, we're going to push the Jews into the sea, and then you can get their land when you come back in the land. Well, it never worked out for them because they got their butts handed to them. But when you look at it now, since the Israel is such a strong country and no Islamic nation on the planet can take them over, invade their land, or harm them, they feel humiliated. Why? Because for centuries, they had been humiliating Jews. If you remember what Muhammad did to the 3 tribes in Medina, he ethnically cleansed them. They were all gone within 2 years of his little prophethood there, quote unquote. He hated the Jews. Now, when you look at this, even though they're a tiny minority, what was I saying here? Despite the fact that Muslims are a majority, they always persecuting minority. Okay, they've always been persecuting minority religions, regardless of where they are. Am I done? That's it. There we go, man. That was.
And most of them still are.
The very existence
under
of
corrupted
the Jew,
government.
Yeah.
Okay, Connie, make that. Okay, let Connie make that. I didn't hear you, Connie. What were you saying? I'm sorry, Paul, for stepping on you, but.
Yeah, and most are under a corrupted government. There still are. They're still killing.
Yeah,
especially in Africa right now.
Yeah. Many of the countries in Africa, El Shabaab. What's the one that's in Somalia? What's that? Is that El Shabaab in Somalia?
There's 2 or 3 in Somalia. I can't think of them all right now.
Okay.
El Shabaab, I think, is also there.
Yeah.
But people forget the very existence of the Jew is a denial of the Islamic faith, and that's why they want to kill them all. They want to be able to say they are correct in what they say. But again, anybody who actually reads the Quran will sit there and laugh and giggle. And if you actually read it straight through, not picking verses here and there, I don't know what else to tell you because it's nonsensical, most of it, unfortunately.
Well, how do you? I mean, I'm sure many of us have read it straight through. I've read it straight through a couple times, and it's just weird.
I can only do it with someone because after a few lines, I get frustrated because it doesn't have any flow.
Exactly.
Right. It's like penance, is what it. I mean, it's just like torture trying to read that book.
That is the best way I've heard to describe that.
Yeah, if you want to punish somebody, here, read this. Don't stop until you get to the end. They come back. Oh, I'm the worst person for it.
Guys, you mentioned about Al Shabaab in Tanzania and Kenya, and I just want to remind us about the attack at Garissa University College on April 2, 2015, where
Oh yeah. Mhm.
where
In
Al
Kenya.
Shabaab, yes,
You're in Kenya, right?
yes, absolutely,
Okay.
where they attacked the university, and it says that one of the spokesmen for the group said regarding the situation, when our men arrived. Now, this is one of their people speaking. When our men arrived, they released the Muslims, but were holding Christians hostage. The mission is to kill those who are against the Shabab, and that Kenya is at war with Somalia and a number of other issues. Um, Ultimately, it said one of the witnesses said they were shooting the Christian students on the spot.
Hmm.
They were shooting the Christian kids on the spot. Oh, and notice they attacked a university. They attacked a university, and guess what? And that university, it symbolizes many things because there were males and females there. They it's a seat of learning, and guess what? Their plan worked because after that massacre where 178 people died, the university closed down because none of the students who survived wanted to go back there.
Would you? Classes are back on, guys. Come on back.
The point I'm making is that they attacked a seat of learning and they achieved their objective to have it closed down.
Yeah. What now? Wasn't this the same? Okay, so maybe I'm getting this confused because I remember there was the attack on the university, but wasn't there like an attack on a mall there where they were going
That's a
through?
separate incident.
It was a separate incident. Okay. Yeah, because they were making the people recite the Shahada or recite.
Well, no, they're making them recite the first surah, and then the Shahada too. But they are also one of the things they continue to do is ask people to read to state from memory Surah 1.
Right,
and
okay.
then
What's
if you
that called?
can't do that,
Al-Fatiha?
they shoot you or kill you in some other means, usually by cutting your throat.
Yeah.
Well, ISIS would ask like, what is the Prophet Muhammad's mother's name? Well, Amina, right? But then they would ask how many rakas in a prayer, or how many knee bendings in a prayer, and that's something that differs per each Muslim sect. Really, it does.
Yes.
Okay. And even if they got it correct, they would still add another bending because you got to bow when you enter into the mosque. You know what I mean? I mean, seriously, they would just arbitrarily draw up stuff, and just to kill other Muslims. And this is why I say to Muslims who deny the existence of ISIS or deny the existence of Al Qaeda or deny the existence, say no, they're not Muslims. I'm like, really? Then why aren't you standing up and fighting them? Because they will kill you first before they come and kill us. You know what I mean? But instead, in their denial, they actually defend them. They apologize for them. You know what I mean? And one other thing, seriously, the only difference, between so let me put the only difference between a so-called moderate Muslim who knows his religion, in other words, who doesn't deny the age of Aisha was 9 when she got when Muhammad kicked boots with her. You know what I mean? Okay, I mean a serious practicing, devoutly religious Muslim who studies his scriptures, and knows his religion. Very peaceful person, living in the United States, living in the West, whatever. The only difference between that Muslim and an ISIS Muslim or an Al Qaeda Muslim or a Taliban Muslim is that they want to do to you sometime in the future what ISIS Muslims is doing to you today. Okay? They're the kind of, don't worry, we're going to kill and persecute you later. Whereas ISIS Muslims say, no, we're doing that today. You know what I mean? Because today is the day, okay, where we are seizing upon it. And then, well, okay, so then you throw in the Kenny Boner Muslims, the Kenny Boner Muslims, okay, all right, who just kind of dabble in Islam. They like the fanciful stuff. They like the rituals. They like the whatever. They like to be the outcast, whatever. Okay, but those dudes, they'll sit there and they will look the other way, man. You know, while you're getting your head chopped off. Okay, while girls are being, carted away. I have nothing
What was
to do with
that?
it.
He would be in the background smiling.
Yep,
Is that what
he would
said?
be in the back. He would be in the back smiling.
Right.
Okay, Kenny Bomer doesn't have to do any of this. Whatever.
Yeah.
But no. What I'm seriously, there are different groups of people. It's not all a monolith. But bottom line is this: these people. I mean. Now, don't get me wrong. There are other Muslims. They hate Al Qaeda. They hate ISIS. They're fighting them because they know they're going to be killed. But here's the thing: they're fighting against their own religion. Because if you have an ISIS, I'll give an example. There was a debate, okay, between Adnan, not Adnan Rashid. Who was it? Who's the dude in the UK? Not Adnan Rashid. He's the guy that I can't think of his name now. Okay.
Anjem Chowdhury.
No. Yeah, it was Amjan Chowdhury, but I'm trying to think of the other dude. We know him from David Wood days. Back with Answering Muslims, he used to come on and everything. David Wood actually debated him a few times. He's a British guy.
It was Anjan Chowdhury.
No. A Muslim revert to Islam debated Amjan Chowdhury on British television. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and no, in this British Muslim I speak to, he actually is one of the civil rights kind of leaders where he promotes himself. In Great Britain, he was always on all the talk shows, blah 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 blah. But he debated Amjan Chowdhury, and Amjan Chowdhury tore him apart. Amjan Chowdhury was arguing like David Wood. No, it wasn't Paul Williams. This dude, no, in his first debate, he looked like Luke Skywalker. He shows up, he's like, I'm wearing the garb of, the Andalusi. Andalusi is his name. That's his Islamic name, not his slave name. Okay, but Andalusi, or his government name, whatever. It's his Islamic slave name as opposed to his government slave name. But his name is Andalusi or something like that. I'll have to look around and find him. But he shows up, okay, like he's, Luke Skywalker wearing this garb. Makes a big deal of it. Because my family is originally from Andalusi, Spain, and this is what they wore. And everybody's like, you look like a moron. Anyway, but point being is this. He debates Amjan Chowdhury. And Amjan Chowdhury tore him apart. He's like David Wood saying, I'm quoting Hadith. I'm quoting the scholars, my brother. Okay, what are you quoting?
Yeah. You're quoting the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah. What are you doing? And here's the funny thing. He said that ISIS could not be a caliph because they could not control their own airspace. And he's like, look at the U.S. They're bombing them all the time. They can't control their own airspace. And I'm trying to say, what? What caliph? What caliph had airspace in the time of history? Are you saying there's no caliph now? There's no caliphate ever? This is just totally stupid. No. But again, when these Muslims go against these well-versed, well-known ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Taliban, Muslim Brotherhood Muslims, they get their butts handed to them. Okay? And they know they can't debate them. And to be honest with you, okay, one more point on this. Dying for what you believe does not prove what you believe is true. It just proves you really believe what you're dying for. You know what I mean? Okay? All right? These dudes, they don't want to die for what they allegedly believe because they know what they believe is wrong whenever they come up against these Muslims. Okay? These real Muslims that actually know their crap. Okay? No, they know their shit hada. Okay? All right? Unlike, these westernized, reverted Muslims. But anyway, I'll end with that. But no, that's the thing. That's what you got to make them realize, dude. You're arguing against your own religion. Don't argue against me. I will never be a Muslim because I've been handed. The Father has me in His hands. He will never release me. Okay, as the Bible states. So you're not going to convert me. So who are you arguing this new Islam to? No, you need to argue it to those Muslims who are doing these horrible things. If you truly believe that your religion is all this and a bag of chips, then don't argue with us. Argue with them. And they refuse, and they will not do that.
Well, this is one of my arguments with Muslims who come onto this show or come onto Christian platforms and try to tell us that we have Islam all wrong. We don't understand Islam. All this killing that Boko Haram is doing, all this killing that ISIS is doing, all this killing that Al-Shabaab is doing, all this killing that Hamas is doing, that's not Islam. My question is why are you bothering to tell me this? I mean, don't you think that your time would be better spent telling those other organizations, telling those other Muslims, look, that is not true Islam. And they know that. And the reason why they don't do it is because they know when they do it, they're going to have verse after verse after verse after hadith after hadith after hadith, all thrown in their face with tasfir to boot. So they don't go after. They come after the kafir to try to
like we do.
prey on people's ignorances.
It's just like you said in the beginning, in your PowerPoint, that should they decide that they want to do this, they would be charged with shirk, or they are apostates now when they start to argue back, and by doing that they risk their life, and that is the reason why they won't. It is the number one reason why they will never try.
Yeah, case in point, Kenny's saying that they have ample evidence that Aisha was not 9 years old. They would have thrown him under the bus as an apostate right there.
Yeah.
It's not right there and then.
Well, no. So here's the thing. Think about this, guys. Think about this. We have Christian missionaries that go out into the most godforsaken places of the world, okay, to convert Christians. We also, if you're of the Protestant faith, we also have Christian missionaries that go to Italy, okay, that go to Germany, that go to I shouldn't say Germany so much, but they go to Italy. Seriously, there are Protestant missionaries who are going to Italy.
France.
That would be
they go to France.
In France. Okay, and other places, okay, to convert Catholics to Protestantism. Why are there no modern-day westernized Muslim missionaries going to Saudi Arabia to convert them to the true Islam? Why aren't they going to Egypt? Why aren't they going to ISIS land? Or you know what I mean? Why aren't they doing that? Because they know that what they're saying is total and complete bull bleep. Trying to keep it G, but you know what I mean?
They're trying to deceive people.
Exactly. Dude, you know what we got to do? We got to do the Dawa guy. I got to find his lecture video. You ever see the Dawa guy? No, seriously, he does this thing where he's giving a lecture on Dawa, okay, in an actual mosque and how to do Dawa. He's the Dawa street guy in London. Kilbourne Street, I believe. And he actually says, this is what we tell the Christians. And then you can hear them groan. He's like, no, I know, brother, that's wrong. But we don't have to tell them that now. We tell them later after they convert. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I've lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just to say that it's so true. It's because it says that and what I was asking is why don't they? We said, well, why don't they go to the Muslims and tell all these other groups that they're wrong? Paul,
go ahead. Yeah, this is the Zudi Jassers, the quote imaginary moderates. I say imaginary because they claim they are moderate, yet they want to rewrite history. They want to rewrite the Quran, but they won't say that to the Muslims. They want things to go away that exist in the Quran, that exist in the Hadith. In fact, when you speak to them, they will deny some of the things that actually exist until you read it to them. And then the humor is they know it's there and they just don't want anyone else to know. We had
Well, we know.
Duty Josser
We
on
know.
our network, and he was on Vito's show,
Yeah.
and
I
they asked
remember
him
that.
questions, and it proves that he was not being upfront. I think Gotti
Wait.
got on there and asked him something. It was amazing.
Sorry to interrupt you, Paul, but I just noticed that the Imam is here. He just said it's 2:17 a.m. in Israel. Don't you mean Palestine, dude? Don't you mean Palestine?
Oh,
Now you're in Israel?
hold on. Look at that.
Oh.
If you send me the link, I will join the platform. Yeah, I'll send you the link. But the first thing you need to do is, number one, apologize for what you've done to me. Number two, you're going to address me as Dr. Smith. And number three, you're going to apologize to everybody else in the panel. If you're ready to do that, let me know, and I'll send you the link.
Yeah. Apologize to me for
I'll
slandering
probably
you for 3 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just slandering you, but also
Yeah. Call me Miss Connie too.
Didn't he get your channel removed or whatever?
Oh yeah, for like 4 months now.
And he thinks, oh, wow, you send me the link, I'll come on your show. Well, I'll put you in the backstage and then sit there and criticize you for like 10 minutes. And then I'll bring you on, let you say 2 words, and I'll cut you off. Kind of like what you do to everybody else. No chance.
No, he was actually
I don't
fair
know.
to me. Not the last time. The time before.
No,
That was nice.
come on.
No,
You knew
no,
going
no.
into that, Rad, that you were not
Well,
going to
no.
every name in the book he called you, and then he didn't
No,
even
yeah,
let you ask you
no.
questions.
The last time I triggered him right away, and I admit that I should have asked softer questions because he got triggered.
If
there
it
was
wasn't
just
such
so
quality
much, I was just
entertainment,
like,
you know,
yeah,
we would leave
yeah.
him alone. But it's just.
But
too
no,
funny
the
how
time before that, we actually, I thought we had a good conversation. It was heated, but then I didn't. That was the time where I went out and I took a shower. I took a shahada. I went and got something to eat at Burger King. Literally, I did. I went and got a pack of smokes and a 6-pack of beer, and I come back and he's still talking. He's still reading from his book. I'm like, dude, really? Dude, no, seriously. I'm in the Burger King drive-thru ordering my Whopper with cheese and bacon. It's part of my diet plan. But anyway, my doctor thinks I'm crazy. But anyway, no, I'm sitting there and he's still talking about his book. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. Then I go and I jump in the shower. You know, well, actually, before I went to the Burger King, I jumped in the shower and I put my earbuds back in. I'm like, he's still talking? And then I went out. Seriously, it was like 4 hours, Kenny. You just read from your book for 4 hours, dude.
I don't know why you guys waste your time with
retain
him.
what you said. Anyway. But no, I thought
I get it. You know, because you want to
to
counter. I get it. You want to engage, but no, I'm not.
Yeah, I called in. I called in too about 3 weeks ago, and I said, "Hey, Kenny, this is Connie." "Oh no, you're not allowed to talk to here," and he kicked me out.
Do you remember Kenny in the 3 years when he used to join our live streams? Okay, for 3 years, Kenny would join off and on, blah blah blah. He said, "Dude, Eric would piss us all off because Eric would let him speak for like 10, 15 minutes."
Okay,
no, wait, hold on, Paul. I'm gonna Kenny you. Okay, you're rude. You're rude. How dare you interrupt me? Anyway, but no, over and over again. But no, and then Kenny would say, "Any of you guys come to my show, I'll let you talk all you want. You can come to my show, my live stream." Dude, I tried that. It lasted 5 minutes the first time. I'm like, okay, screw this. Never went back. And then recently, no, I'm seriously.
All right,
dude,
let's just.
You triggered Kenny, man. Sorry,
The guy's a waste of time.
So,
all right.
No, I don't believe in giving up on anybody. There's a lot of admirable stuff about Kenny, and I mean this sincerely. He wrote a freaking book, dude. I haven't written a book. Well, Paul has written a book.
Paul's written 4.
Paul's written a book, but Paul
more than that, but yeah.
actually wrote books. I haven't done that. Okay? All right? I'm sorry, but no, right? That takes discipline to do that. That was a horrible, crappy book. It was so horrible and crappy that he did it again, and then actually said in the second edition, Abraham Lincoln, not even the chapter, the introduction, Abraham Lincoln and Teddy Roosevelt were slave owners. Are you freaking kidding me, dude? Not anyone from Kenny. Seriously, think about this. I'm sorry to go off on a rant here, but Kenny, seriously, not anyone from your pre-launch book club, okay, or not your editor caught that. It's literally in the first couple of pages.
He probably has that Jamal guy as his.
No, caught it right away. Are you freaking kidding me? I mean, sorry, dude. Okay. He wrote a
Paul, what
book,
were you
and
going to
then
say?
you.
Paul.
I'm just laughing here because this guy is advertising his next beatdown. He's advertising the David Wood beatdown of him. I mean, Kenny was beat before he even started.
Oh, dude, we got to go. Dude, when is that, Kenny? No, when is that, Kenny? Because if that jives with the
that was
trucker
so funny.
protest, no, if that jives with the trucker protest in DC that's coming up, we're talking March 1st. I'm in the group. I'm talking with the leadership of this, trying to get this going. By the way, seriously,
Oh, thank God.
the trucker protest coming in DC.
No,
seriously, but seriously,
He
I say
says
we all go. I say we all go. Kenny
guys, he
would
says
be
it's
so triggered.
Brad, for God's sake, will you listen to me? He says
right,
it's
go ahead.
May, not March. It's May. He says it's in May.
I don't know if I can take that many days
What are
off.
you talking about?
Wait, Kenny. Wait, hold on. Kenny, is it in New York City proper? Is it New York City proper or just someplace in New York?
What? The debate? I don't care.
The debate, yeah.
don't
Because
care.
I'm going. You're going, Eric. I'll buy you your ticket, Eric. You're going.
It's in New York City. I'll go. It's only about 600 miles from me.
Well, that might be the event that
Go
we
to
were
New York
talking
City,
about.
though. That's what I'm
previously.
saying. I don't want to go to New York City.
All right,
New
guys,
York City.
this is a show. Let's get back on topic here. Doggone it.
Eric,
Okay.
Eric, what's the topic for the debate?
Christian persecution.
Oh, no, I don't mean here. I mean,
The debate.
No,
I don't know.
No. Kenny's a redo. Kenny's a rematch at the same topic, same title. At least that's what he said. Yes.
what a glutton for punishment.
He's gonna do it again.
And the guy doesn't realize that he's already lost.
Well, I don't understand. Okay, I remember watching, and I've said this before. I remember watching that debate between Nadir Ahmed and Dr. Michael Brown about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, where they were discussing Deuteronomy 18:18 and is that Muhammad in the Bible? And Michael Brown, he just humiliated Nadir. I mean, it was, and it all went back to the same question that he kept on repeating, which David kept repeating to Kenny. Show me one hadith where it clearly says that she was something other than 9. He could not do it. He knew he wouldn't do it. So he would sit there and filibuster saying, well, this says so. Shut your pie hole. He's just asking you a simple question. You can't answer it. And Michael Brown was doing the same thing. He was telling him, look, there's over 20 different places where in the book of Deuteronomy, where the Jews are referred to as the brethren. The prophet will be from their brethren, and nowhere does it mention brethren being anybody other than an Israelite. It was the same type of humiliation. It was the same lopsidedness. And to watch something like that again, I don't know why this is what narcissists do. And this is what I've always said. I mean, the guy's a narcissist. He just likes to hear himself talk. He just likes to put himself out there. That's all he is. There's no substance to this guy's argument. He just wants to be heard. And so to say, hey, if you come, let's see, what was it? He said, I want you to ask me anything. I don't care what your opinion is of anything. I don't care if you think the sky is pink. I don't care.
Here's
away.
the sad part. Here's the sad part, Eric. You gave him his platform. I was actually, somebody sent it to me. Actually, no, I was actually going through it. The old videos going back on his channel, because I was looking for the one where I tried to join and where Marsha was bragging about the cyber jihad and Kenny was like promoting it. And so I was looking for that. And I found a video where you actually joined and you had a conversation. It was early on. Okay, before COVID. I mean, seriously, this is how we mark things off. And you were saying, this is fun. We had a great conversation. Here's the thing, Kenny. Something changed in you, Kenny. You know what I mean? Well, actually, no, nothing really changed in you. You were pretty much the same. But that's beside the point, dude. Okay?
Well, when he started acting like that. That's the thing. When he started acting like that scumbag Marshall. That's when everything changed. That's when I was like, look, I'm not having nothing to do with you.
Kenny, seriously, we made the Who is Eric video. Do you know who this man is? This man is a retired Army attached Special Forces. Okay, 87, all airborne. Okay, assault. Okay, no, don't even get me started. Okay, on this stuff.
Let's
okay?
not.
You were the 82nd. So was my father-in-law. 82nd Airborne. Yes, sir.
504th Parachute Infantry Regiment. The
Exactly.
we were called.
Yeah,
Listen,
we're
we were
all
called.
military.
We were
Yeah,
all
we're
we
all
were called
military here.
when I was there. We were called the No War 04 because when everybody went to Grenada, that big invasion of Grenada, everybody got the actual combat patch, 82nd. The 504 didn't go, and everybody mocked us. You're the No War 04. Screw you, buddy.
Hey, wait. Hey,
Well,
so Eric was part of the crew. Eric was part of the crew that when you positively, absolutely have to kill every MF in the room, you call on Eric's crew. Okay, I'm just saying. Okay,
well,
all right. He doesn't like to talk about that. Okay,
So
I'm
Eric,
just saying.
Eric,
Okay,
forgive me.
But wait, hold on, Kenny. This man right here was the commander of your wife, dude. Right? I'm pretty much, sort of. No. No. Okay.
No.
Well, could have been.
She was okay. Let me just say this. If she was at Bragg, she was probably across post over in Legland, what we call Legland, the non-parachute qualified individuals. We call them legs. It's kind of a pejorative, but I mean, it's an army. It's an army thing that, and once you leave Fort Bragg, it doesn't matter. But if you're on Fort Bragg and you don't jump, it's I don't know. Anyway, okay. What were you saying?
Yeah, he doesn't like to talk about that because he's a real soldier. He's a real soldier of whatever. Anyway,
forgive me.
May I?
Sorry, I'm done. I just said to you.
George goes, and then Connie, I'll let. Okay, Connie, go ahead.
No, George, please. I'll go after George.
Okay, so
Yes, sir.
forgive me if you've already done it, but if Bomer can write a book, I think you should write a book. I think a book needs to be done to encapsulate all of these many ideas. It has to be done. It has to be placed on record, so people can read it. You see what I'm saying? I do believe that the internet is getting a lot of information out, and the internet is, through Jesus Christ, the internet is destroying Islam. It is. But I'm still saying that a book should be written that could put all of these things, these very important points that we're making on these programs over the years, into a book, into proper topics. What do you think about that?
I had considered, and because when you commit to it, but Paul can tell you this better than anybody here, when you commit to something like that, it's a heck of a commitment. But I had considered, there's a couple things that I'd kicked around. I had kicked around writing a book.
Dude, Kenny did it. Kenny did it. I am sorry. I am shamed by that. Kenny did it. I'm just saying.
The usurpation.
I admire you for it, Kenny. I do. I admire you for it. I'm saying.
The usurpation of Muhammad, and how Muhammad has usurped Christ in Scripture, and not only in his role as being the primary focus of people's adoration or obedience towards their teaching, but in several other ways. So I've thought about writing a book, something about like that. I've thought about writing something along the lines of, analyzing the preponderance of the evidence. What would the preponderance of the evidence demonstrate whether or not Islam is true or not? It's when you analyze the Quran, when you look at the anachronism that's in the Quran, when you look at the historical fallacies in the Quran, you look at the inserts of the plagiarism. They call it borrowing, but the plagiarism of Syriac folklore, Talmudic insertions, Gnostic stories, and then compare that to Hadith, to pagan rituals. What makes better sense? But that would be a real heavy lift. I think the usurpation would probably be one. I'm considering it, but I don't know. It's a lot of work. Connie. Did she leave us?
Yeah. Just to clarify what I said is, in my family, most of the males are all ex-military. I was an army brat born in Germany, raised by my sergeant father. We lived in almost every state other than Alaska, because my dad was in the military. Yeah. So I was pretty much raised in it, through my father.
Ever at Fort Hood, Texas?
My sister was born in Fort Hood. She was born in Fort Hood.
Let's see. I'm trying to think. Let's see. There's all kinds of forts all over the place. Fort Drum, New York. Fort Carson, Colorado. Fort
Fort Lewis, Washington, but then there was
In
Fort Ord,
it's
California. I mean, you go back and they've closed a lot of these
mhm.
bases today.
Yeah, in 1965 there was a blackout. I was there as a baby, as a little infant,
We're at
a
Ord.
newborn actually. 1965, the New York blackout. There's many of them. I was there.
What's the one in New York? There was Fort. What's the one in New York City, Paul? Do you know what the Army fort? There was one, not Gillum. Fort. I can't remember, but there was.
I wouldn't know. I
Okay, well, I had a
was
friend.
never allowed in.
my best friend when I was when I first went in the Army, it was a guy by the name of, I'm not going to mention his name. Be careful here, but he was from Long Island, and this is when rap music was just first coming out. So he would sit there he had 2 turntables in the room. He'd have to set up in our barracks in the room, and he'd be sitting there doing this crap at all hours of the night. It'd be 4:30 in the morning. He's over there scratching stuff. And anyway, he was trying to get stationed in New York City when we left Italy. And I can't remember what the name of that post was, but yeah, long time ago. Okay, so we were talking about persecution, and let's kind of wrap this up. We get sidetracked on this show way too, but it's fun. I mean, it just makes for great conversation. It's fun. Fort Sill, Oklahoma, home of the king of battle. Exactly, XYZ. Field artillery, not to be confused with the queen of battle. Yeah, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. There you go. Slam RN. What the Fort? Look at you guys. You bunch of hooahs in the house here. I didn't know this. Look at it. We went to basic training. Fort Lawton, or I'm sorry, Fort Sill is where. Oh, Lance missiles. There you go. Wow, you guys are over there. Let's see if anybody else is putting anything there. You guys, I like that. We've got military people here. Okay.
See your symphony? That's your symphony, Eric.
Well, you've been in the. I was stationed at Fort McClellan, Alabama, when I first went in, because I was a military policeman. We had military police school. Then I went to Italy. Then when I came back, I went to Fort Bragg. Then from Fort Bragg, I went to Panama. Then I went from Panama to Fort Campbell. From Fort Campbell, I went back to Italy. And then I retired. When I retired, I went back to Fort Campbell. And as soon as I got there, we went to the desert. And I retired and said, enough of this crap. Let's go.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, okay, but I was never stationed in Germany. Okay, Slam RN says she was in Germany. What did you do? Okay, you said you were Lance. Okay, Lance. Okay, Lance is.
She drank beer and ate sausages.
She went to Oktoberfest over there. Okay, here's okay, let's look at
me and my brother was born in Germany. Me and my brother were born in the army base.
Which one?
Neuburger. It's called Rheinfeld Neuburger.
Neuburger?
It's not there anymore. Yeah, it's pronounced Neuburger. Yeah, because I have a German friend, well, and it's pronounced Neuburger.
Yeah. All those things are closed down over there. I mean, we've drawn down all across the planet after World War II posture. Too expensive.
Yeah.
Okay. Christian persecution, as we started off with, is at near genocidal levels. This is dated 2019. Okay. And at that time, when we look at when we start talking about Christian persecution, there are Christians that are killed every day. Let's see here. I don't know if they give you the number here, but when we start talking about how many are killed a day, it's about 12 Christians are killed a day. That's just killed. We're not talking about injured. We're not talking about persecuted for their faith. We're not talking about their business being burned down. We're not talking about being harassed on the job or being restricted for their freedoms. That's killed. One of the most famous was at this time was this lady. Her name is Bibi. I can't remember her first name. Oh, there it is. Aisha Biba. There we go. Yeah, she was imprisoned, sentenced to death for it was apostasy, criticizing Muhammad, and she was released. And when they released her, the Supreme Court of Pakistan released her, found her not guilty or whatever it was, and the whole country lost its little flipping mind. They wanted her dead. They were going to lynch her.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when we look at Christian persecution, and it says that it exists in an atmosphere of political correctness, and that would run contrary to
Corrupted government.
to this mantra. Well, the media is on the side of it's nothing but propaganda. It's propaganda in the sense that the media is trying to provide cover for Islam. It's like a religion with an affirmative action program is what it's like, where you can't criticize it, and if you do criticize it, what? You're called names. Am I right on that? You're called an Islamophobe or a hater, a bigot, right? Or a murderer. Exactly. A murderer. Yeah, there you go. A hater.
And you would think that they would be doing. You would think in our Congress and. Oh, I'm echoing.
Not here. You're not. I don't know
why.
Why?
Yeah, there's an echo. Okay, yeah, well, but you would think in our House of Representatives that they would be writing a an anti-Christian. Boy, I'm just echoing on my end.
Well, back out and come back in. Yeah, back out and come back in. Keep that in mind. I'll write it down. House of Representatives, Christian thing. I'll write that down. Okay. I wanted to jump over to another article.
Let me just interject here. Did you guys all see the video? Do you remember when it came out in Afghanistan of the female teacher? Okay. They said that she burnt Qurans and she didn't, or something like that. She was a hardcore Taliban supporter, and they tracked her up onto the roof and dragged her down from the roof and killed her. Do you guys remember that video? I have to look that up. Oh no, seriously. This was and she's like, "Why are you doing this to me? I'm with you, Taliban." And they're like, "Nope, the whole village got her and killed her." And everything they said about her was a lie. What I'm saying is this goes to this Islamicist mentality, which, Kenny, seriously, we will support you. We will fund you on your missionary trip. What I'm saying to you is this, dude, and any moderate Muslim, go out on your missionary, your dogless trip. I mean, seriously, I will fund this. Okay? All right? Okay, go and convert these Muslims who are doing the things that you say are not Islamic. It should be easy for you to do this because you have the knowledge, okay? Or you are a student of the knowledge. Go on and do this. Save these people, dude, and save us from being murdered. Save all the Muslims in Afghanistan from what they are now, and going to be suffering under. Save all the Muslims in Egypt from what they are going to be suffering under. Save all the Muslims in Lebanon from what they are suffering under. Save all the Muslims of Syria from what they are suffering under. Save the Muslims. Forget about the Christians. Save them. Save the Muslims from this persecution.
The guy that does the flagship show for the network, Vito Esposito, that's one of his, or maybe it's Al, one of the two, says that he wants to end Islamic violence in order to protect the Muslims from each other. Doesn't he say that a lot? Quite
exactly.
Al, that's Al.
No, is that Al? Okay.
Yeah, Al, and Al is Jewish, so
yeah, that's true.
If you understand, I mean, it's a personal connection for him, because he's been to Israel, and he works with the United West, and it's very personal. He was there when they attacked in Texas.
Him and
that's where a lot of my information in my book on the section on freedom of speech comes from.
Well, who's doing Damon Rosen? That's right.
Yeah,
Damon
he was
Rosen
there too.
He was the guy that I took the show over from, because he made Aliyah to Israel.
Yes.
And stopped doing the show. So I started doing this show. So it was Damon Rosen and Al were both there that night at that Draw the Muhammad contest in Garland, Texas. I remember. And they called Gotti, got Gotti out of bed, said, "Fire up the studio. We got to start broadcasting live because this is going on." And Gotti got all. Do you remember that night when? Did you hear that show? Gotti lost his. Gotti Edelman is his name. He lost his flipping mind.
Don, I'm just saying.
No, is it Gotti the Jihadi is what he calls it, because he's Jewish too.
And he's an Israeli soldier. He actually survived a terrorist attack as well.
Yeah, he's the real deal. Okay, so
when we are talking about Connie, what were you going to say? I was going to say
Good. Yeah, yeah. Our House of Representatives should write a Christophobia, bill to try to pass instead of Islamophobia.
Well,
Because we see what the plague is doing. It's killing all the Christians everywhere. So, we need to protect our own house here. So they should be writing a Christophobia law to pass, to where if you make fun of Christians, then what the Muslims want to do to us, that it comes upon them.
But okay, here's why I would disagree with you. Is because
I'm just basically batting the ball back to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yes,
but
sir. Right.
Yeah, I get that, but I would never advocate for a Christophobia bill of any type of criticism of any religion of any type. And the reason why is that our country's foundational principles are based on freedom of speech. And if you cannot adhere to those core principles that our country is founded upon, and you start writing laws that are antithetical to that, then I would, you can't. I mean, you can't do. That's not our character. That's not our nature. But when you try to insert something that is a foreign culture, a foreign nature into Western civilization, like Islam, this is why you get people wanting to write laws to prevent criticism of the religion. Why? Because that's inherent in their culture, that's inherent in their religion, and their laws within the Sharia. I don't want Sharia in this country in any way, shape, or form.
Well, like Kenny says, it's already here. So the thing is her writing this, she's going against the Constitution. She's wanting that Islamophobia bill, to finally pass in the Senate. Well, that's going against our Constitution. So it's like, okay, well, tit for tat then. Y'all aren't looking at the Constitution, then we need to protect ourselves. You see what I mean? That's why I say that.
Yeah, I understand.
And I know you do. I know you do. But it gets me ticked off, because it's like, if you come in this country, we saved her whole family, Ilhan Omar. We saved her whole family from that tyranny going on. Yes.
Actually, Paul and I were talking about her prior to the show when we were talking about government corruption. There was an article that was posted this morning that the restaurant that she frequents all the time and is real cozy with the owner, where she had her celebration party after she was elected to her first term in Congress, is under investigation or indictment for defrauding the government of COVID funds that were meant to purchase meals for kids affected by COVID. That's what a bunch of scumbags are, and this is this is what she is. I mean, this is the people that.
Well, I hope she does get indicted. Is anybody pushing it right now?
Wait, hold on. No. There's nobody nobody pushing it right now, for one, because the Republicans do not have the gavel. Once you get the gavel, okay, then you can decide, okay? All right? But that's point number one. Point number two is the bureaucrats, they have an escape clause, because, first of all, they're federally unionized, which is horrible. Now, I'm not anti-union, okay? I'm not anti-union. But these are federal unionized employees, so they are negotiating against the good faith of the United States people. That's another point. Okay, but no, seriously, they are. They're anyway. Okay, so no, they follow a script. As long as they say, I don't know, they're fine. They're not lying to Congress, and even if they do get lying to Congress. Okay, there's nothing happening, because Congress has given up all of its power. Okay, literally, they have. They've given up all of its power. So it depends on the Attorney General and who has ever controlled the Attorney General's office. But no, because guess what? The Attorney General's office is unionized. So guess what happens? You know what I mean? Okay, no. Donald Trump, love him, hate him, love him, curse him, whatever. Donald Trump exposed the corruption, okay, of what we are facing.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
All right.
I actually am going to ask for prayer for something I have being introduced to a congressman tomorrow.
All right. Let's pray, brother.
I have a very big piece that could make America safer being introduced as to a congressman who may actually put it through. So
What is
it?
it?
You can
What is it?
look up resolution on paulsutliff.blogspot.com and you can read it.
Oh, okay. Yes, sir.
It's being proposed to by a friend I'm just going to leave his name out, to a certain congressman who has the guts and basically the cojones to do the job. I tried to find one in 2016. I couldn't find one, but I'm not saying it's going to happen now. I think it'll probably happen after the election. It's going to be a red wave because nobody likes riding bankruptcy and inflation and dementia. I mean, the guy has less than 50% approval rate.
Well,
I don't remember.
30s.
I don't know. I thought Carter was bad, and I thought Obama was bad, but this is ridiculous.
Yeah,
no.
All right, let's get back.
Scary, dude.
Let's get back on the persecution thing.
Yeah.
Anytime that we spend time on Joe Biden is a waste of time. Because he's a waste of time. I'm sorry. I just loathe that guy so much.
He's the walk-away president, but go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. You know what, Connie? What we ought to do is we ought to put in our intro him tripping out, going up those steps on.
No, I can't do that. I'm sorry. That goes against my conscience and my heart in Christ. I will not do that, Eric.
Okay,
sorry.
All right. Okay.
I'm not the woman to do that. You know, man, I have to keep my spirit pure here.
Okay.
falling up the stairs.
Okay,
twice.
that's 3 times.
I'll get in trouble with God, man.
3 times.
3 times. Okay. Let's finish up with this tonight. Raven Ibrahim over at the Gatestone Institute publishes an article every month on covering some significant factors in Christian persecution. If you look here, first bullet is days before Christmas. Muslim cleric told his congregation following mosque prayers that wishing non-Muslims a Merry Christmas is like congratulating murderers and pedophiles. The Imam concluded by calling on Allah to give strength to Islam, and Muslims to humiliate infidels, polytheists, to destroy the enemies of our religion, and to annihilate heretics and atheists. Now that is a religious leader doing this. Kill and destroy, asking God to kill and destroy other human beings. Here's a quote from a Muslim confronting a Catholic procession in France. Get lost. This France is not your country anymore. Over here in Mozambique, somebody else is evidently confused by the Islamic religion. After decapitating a Christian pastor, ISIS-linked Muslims handed the pastor's severed head to his widow and ordered her to deliver it to the police. Here we have another one in Mozambique. ISIS-linked group forced young, healthy-looking, and lighter-skinned women and girls in their custody to marry their fighters who enslave and sexually abuse them. Yeah, they're just confused. They need a certain imam out of Texas to go visit them. Quranic texts are not the only way to teach Arabic in schools. There are other methods such as literature. Where is this? This is in Egypt. Poetry and rhetoric. The government always backs down from any removal of the Quranic text from the school curricula or subject to religion-fearing attacks of criticism by extremist groups. Boy, that's a shocker. Okay, and then what he does is he just breaks it down by continent and country. You got Russia here, all these, Istanbul, that's Turkey. Okay, and then there's some other articles there for him. But the point I'm trying to make is, folks, there's all kinds of resources out there. Religion of Peace, Gatestone Institute, the Investigative Project. What else we got there? Bare Naked Islam, Jihad Watch, Creeping Syria, Islamist Watch. Vlad Tepes, I don't see a lot from him as much anymore. But anyway, there's all kinds of other websites out there that can keep you up to date on all of this, the persecution. Voice of the Martyrs is one.
There's another organization out there. I think it's called the Persecuted Church or something on those lines. Is our church, the church that I go to. We support Voice of the Martyrs with. We buy what are called action packs. There's $30, and they provide a Christian family enough food, some of the basic necessities, like toilet paper, toothbrush, toothpaste, soap, laundry detergent, things like that every month. So you folks, if you could ever go to that site, I have it listed in the show notes. Click on there, and if you ever felt led to give them any amount of money, it goes to a good cause. Okay, let's go around the horn and end it for the night. Let's just start at the bottom here with Ed Van Halen. Ed, you're kind of in and out. I don't know if you want to any words for the wise here at the end. If not, that's okay. Ed going once, Ed going twice. Ed is off mute, but we cannot hear Ed. Ed will come back to you. Let's go to Connie. Connie, do you have anything that you'd like to add here tonight?
Yeah, just watch what's going on in our Congress right now. It's preposterous. Pray against it. Pray against it, especially Ilhan Omar.
Everything they're doing up there is just absolutely ridiculous. It's just, if there was ever a set of laws, ever a set of policies that could be invented that would hurt the United States, and if they were implemented, you could see a quick destruction to our economy, destruction to our culture. They've done it, and they're doing it. Yes, they've done it in 12 months.
Yeah, okay. Look at our truckers right now.
Yeah. Isa Kabir, Dr. Isa Kabir. I think he just likes to hang out with us. He doesn't do a lot of talking on Tuesday evenings. That's okay. Let's go to the Dr. Radical Moderate. Do you have any last parting words?
Yeah, so on another note, let's all look for the trucker US version of what's happening in Canada. Let's support our Canadian truckers that are fighting for freedom. But there is going to be something I am trying to. I have made inroads, but I'm trying to get on the planning commission on this. They are looking at sometime in March to do this in Washington, D.C. Even if you are not a semi-truck driver, it doesn't matter. By the way, make contact with Tim Lux. I've been reaching out to him. But that's beside the point. You can still show up. Anyway, if it does happen, seriously, we need bodies on the street no matter what. In all the protests, whatever, demonstrations, or just celebrations of freedom. Let's call it a celebration of freedom. Okay, be there, Washington, D.C. No Confederate flag, no Democrat flags, I should say, Confederate flags, also known as Confederate, but no Democrat flags welcome, and definitely no Nazi flags either. I am just saying.
Well, so you always have these people that are they pose as protesters to give everybody else a bad name, and it's ridiculous.
Okay, so what the Canadians did, they actually had a contract that they had to sign, blah blah blah. A list of things that they do. But I am advocating for, with the leadership that I'm kind of making contact with, that we have a lanyard and a badge and an ID number, okay, where we swear that we will not fly the Nazi flag, like none of us ever would anyway. But and we will not fly. I hope none of you will fly that. Exactly, burn alive offensive. But anyway, that we will not fly the Nazi flag, or even what I call the Democrat flag, okay, the Confederate flag, okay, we will be peaceful and respectful, in other words. But you
we're down to 90 seconds, Brad.
Okay, anyway, look out for that. But also,
90 seconds.
Let's try and go to the Kenny and David Wood debate.
We'll talk about it.
Just hanging with David Wood,
We'll talk about it offline. We'll talk about it offline. All right, George. You got anything, George?
Yes, thank you. Since we went live, Acts 17 came with a report that a pastor in Pakistan
60 seconds.
was murdered today, apparently. And
Where is this?
In Pakistan.
Pakistan.
A Christian
I think I
pastor.
read something about that. Yes, I did see
Yeah.
something on that.
It just came up while we were on. So I want everyone to see that regardless of what they say, persecution and murder and elimination of Christians, it's not by accident. It's systematic. Once they have a dominant position, they must kill the source of truth. They can never kill God's truth. It will never happen. But this is what Satan has put in the hearts of these evil people.
10 seconds.
Yeah,
So-
I agree with it.
So
Puts
it's
it in the.
systematic,
He
it's
does
not
it through
arbitrary. It's
I'm sorry?
systematic, it's not arbitrary. I just want everyone to see that.
Okay. All righty, George. Thank you, sir. Blog Talk Radio says that we have 10 seconds left. What do you think, Paul? We tell Blog Talk Radio to stick it. You're muted. You're muted. Paul,
Sorry.
muted. There we go. Go ahead.
I think people need to realize that Christianity and Judaism we're being killed off. We may be safe. We may be safe for now. But we have to realize groups like Antifa, the commie Dems have no problem with us being killed off. The only reason they're not doing it at present is because we own the guns. And they have no problem with that because that's what they did in Russia. That's what they did in Cuba. Every place where communism has been, that's what they're doing still in China. There is no place where communism has been where they haven't endorsed this. There's no place where socialism has been where they don't endorse this. And, you can look at it simply. They even removed God from the platform of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
So
they put it back in, but it was a bunch of booze going on.
Well,
that doesn't matter.
They kind of did and kind of didn't. I saw that. I saw that live, but it's kind of a half and half. People, best thing I can say is make that commitment to Christ, because then you'll find out what's really true. Take that chance. Give your life to Christ.
Yep. Keep your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. I agree 100%. Okay, everybody that came tonight, thank you for coming. We had a good turnout in chat once again. You guys are always a lot of fun to read your comments there. And the Patriots, well, it was a Patriots, bad word, veterans that were in there. And there was even, which, oh my gosh, I forget. Oh, come on.
It was a Canadian Patriot.
Yeah, Rob K was part of the Canadian. Oh man, he saw it and doggone it. What was it? It was Canadian Royal Navy, I think he said. And in the Navy, okay, that's fine. But he said he started out in the Army, I think it was. It doesn't matter. Thank you for everybody for their. Oh, here it is. Nope, that's not it. Thank you for your service. Thank you for coming for the show. And Sunday, you guys got any ideas for Sunday? If you have ideas for Sunday, email me, Skype me, or instant message me, and we'll take a look at it. I'm going to see if I can get that guy from the Seasoned Apologist on the show, the guy from Nigeria, to talk about some of the Christian persecution going on there. That might be a good.
Right.
That might be a good idea. I don't know. I'll reach out to him and see if he wants to see if he has.
I have a topic.
Go ahead, George.
What killed Muhammad?
What's that?
What killed Muhammad?
What killed Muhammad? The Jews.
No, was it poison? Did he die of old age?
Well, I mean, if it was poison, it was from the Jewish food. Let me give it some thought.
I thought Allah yanked out his aorta.
Yeah,
but that was from the effects of the poison. Okay, that might be a good topic. So let me give it some thought, and I'll get back to you via instant messenger or email, one of the two.
Problem.
All right. Gonna roll. God bless y'all. Thanks for coming, and we will see you Sunday on the Cross and the Crescent discussion group. God bless.